Hi everyone, and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And Mike, have you had your coffee this morning?
I have not. I skipped my coffee this morning. I'm having my tea this morning.
Okay, I'm also having a cup of tea. Are you much of a coffee drinker?
I drink coffee fairly regularly, maybe once a day. I like to have coffee, but only when I'm busy. I kind of like it for the energy it gives me, but if I'm just sitting around at home on the weekend, I might skip the coffee because I think, if I'm tired, I don't need a coffee, I can take a nap. But I am a regular coffee drinker. How about you? As an Englishman, I would imagine you only drink tea.
Well, that was true when I lived in England. I pretty much never drank coffee. Except maybe a very early morning as part of an airport kind of breakfast sort of thing.
Right.
But I started drinking coffee a lot more in Taiwan. I think it was the longer days of teaching I was doing. I teach in the morning, in the afternoon, and sometimes in the evening. Just need a bit of coffee to help me get through all that.
And you're older.
That too, yes. It is something that I've got into as I've got older. Now, I generally just take it like black, like a black Americano, a black kind of filter coffee or whatever. I'm not much for the fancy lattes and flavors. How about you? Yeah,
I'm generally iced black coffee, iced Americano. I might have something fancy, as you said, with a breakfast. If I'm having a big fancy hotel breakfast, I might get a cappuccino. And maybe after dinner, in the evening, if I don't have to go to bed too early, I might have a little espresso. I like an espresso after dinner.
So an espresso is a very strong type of coffee, as is what we're going to talk about today. One of the strongest types of coffee of all. Let's read on.
Reading.
Turkish coffee, a unique experience. If you're in the mood for a thick, strong cup of coffee, look no further than Turkish coffee. It's stronger than any other type of coffee. Read on as we explore this interesting beverage. Historically, Turkish coffee was restricted to the upper classes. Not long after, though, it became acceptable for people of all classes to enjoy it. The first Turkish coffee house likely appeared during the Ottoman Empire in the middle of the 16th century. It was in a central area of Constantinople, the empire's capital, and became very popular. It wasn't long after this that more coffee houses started showing up. People even use Turkish coffee when proposing marriage. In one common version of the tradition, the man brings his parents to the woman's home and asks her to marry him. The potential bride serves Turkish coffee to everyone, but puts salt in the man's coffee. This is to test his patience. If the man continues to be happy while he drinks it, the couple can have a long and happy marriage.
So the article begins by saying, if you're in the mood for a thick, strong cup of coffee, and I am, look no further than Turkish coffee. Okay, I've had Turkish coffee. I guess you probably have had at some point. We'll explain it a bit more as we go on, but let's look at this phrase, to be in the mood for something. If you're in the mood for something, you kind of want that thing. You'd like to eat that, drink that, do that thing, watch that thing. I'm in the mood for a comedy tonight. I want to watch something funny. I'm in the mood for pasta tonight. Let's make some pasta. Let's order some pasta, that kind of thing.
That's right. And also we had this phrase, look no further than. And we often use this as the sort of second part of an expression. If you want to do something, if you feel like, if you're in the mood for, if you really need something, look no further than. Basically, stop searching. We have the solution to your problem. We often use this or hear this in advertising. Are you looking for a new bicycle? Look no further than Pat's Bike Shop. We have all the bikes you could possibly need. So it's just kind of an expression saying, hey, if you have a problem, if you're looking for an answer, if you're looking for an idea, here it is. It's the perfect one. Look no further than. In other words, stop looking, because here it is. So Turkish coffee is the answer to all your coffee needs.
And why?
Okay.
The article says it's stronger than any other type of coffee.
It's strong.
Yeah, it's to do with how it's made. There's not much water and a lot more kind of coffee that goes into it. It's like a super espresso.
That's right. And all of that milk and cream and stuff, nah, none of that either. So read on as we explore this interesting beverage. That's right. We're going to learn that it's a lot more than just a coffee. It has a big link to Turkish culture. It's even part of some of their big family moments. So we're going to explore the topic of Turkish coffee today and tomorrow. When you explore something, well, if we think of it kind of like a person searching or walking around in a new land, the way Christopher Columbus might have explored parts of the New World back in the old days. Or we can also talk about it as just learning more about something, finding out about something, getting information. If you go to a new city and you're walking around, you are exploring that city for the first time, or if you're just interested in something and you look it up on Google or Wikipedia to find out more data or information, you're also exploring it. You're finding out more about something that was kind of unknown or mysterious to you before. For example, this TV show explores the lives of penguins in Antarctica.
Cool. And here we're exploring a beverage. The word beverage is just another name for a drink. Something you drink. Everything from water to a really fancy coffee to a nice cocktail to a fruit juice. They are all beverages.
A nice tasty beverage before your meal. All right, so historically, the article continues, Turkish coffee was restricted to the upper classes.
Oh.
All right, so here's already an interesting little bit of history. Historically, that basically means if we look at history in the past, Turkish coffee was restricted to the upper classes. Ooh, only fancy people could drink coffee back in those days. All right, to restrict something, this verb basically means to limit something, to control something, to have rules for something. You might be restricted from talking or using your cell phone in class. We see signs by the side of the road when people are driving, like on the highway. Those signs will restrict your speed. It says if you go faster than this, you're breaking the law, and those laws will restrict people from speeding and driving dangerously. So yes, we often think of rules and laws as things that we do to restrict people from, getting in danger or causing trouble to other people. Here's an example. Buying drinks with alcohol is restricted to people over 18 years old. Well, that's interesting. So if we go back in history to when people first started to drink coffee in Turkey, it was only the rich, the powerful people, the VIPs who could afford it or who could actually get it.
Yeah, they kind of kept it all to themselves.
Interesting.
Like this, we don't get much coffee, so we're going to buy it all.
That's too bad because it's the hard-working people who really need the coffee, not the rich people who just sit around all day.
But the article says, not long after, though, it became acceptable for people of all classes to enjoy it. The word acceptable means it's okay, it's allowed. People are going to say, yep, there is no problem with that at all, okay? So if you were in a really kind of fancy restaurant, you might say, is it acceptable to eat with my hands here? Can I pick up the burger? And they might say, oh no, you're going to eat that burger with a knife and fork. But if I go to McDonald's, of course it's acceptable to pick up my burger with my hands.
Sure. It would be unacceptable to eat it with a knife and fork at McDonald's.
Kind of strange. You might say,
what are you doing?
Yeah, some people would say it's acceptable to, talk with a little bit of food in your mouth, and others would say, no, that's not acceptable, that's not polite, it's rude. So there's different cultures and different situations have different, often unwritten rules for what is or isn't acceptable. For example, you might ask, is it acceptable for me to give an umbrella as a gift? Now in the UK, yeah, sure, nice beach umbrella or something. If the person you're giving it to often goes out for walks.
Right.
In Taiwan, oh, no.
Yeah,
that is not acceptable.
Not acceptable here, that's right. All right, so back to Turkish coffee. It says the first Turkish coffee house likely appeared during the Ottoman Empire in the middle of the 16th century. So this is the 1500s. And I guess if it's a Turkish coffee house, that's probably one that was open to the public. Anyone, if you had the money, could go and buy a coffee. It wasn't only for the fancy people. So this was around 500 years ago during the period of the Ottoman Empire, when Turkey was a big, powerful country that controlled a lot of the land around it.
Yeah, and we learn it, the coffee house, was in a central area of Constantinople, the empire's capital. Of course, that's Istanbul today, and became very popular. So a lot of coffee houses, they were popular with business people. They would do business all day. They'd be buying and selling bits of companies. They'd be putting insurance contracts on ships, and they'd be working these long days, and they'd go to a coffee house to meet with other businessmen, and they'd be served coffee to keep them awake doing business all through the day.
Very interesting. It wasn't long after this that more coffee houses started showing up. Sure, as anyone knows, if you open a business and it's very successful and other people see that you have a lot of customers and you're making a lot of money, people will often just kind of copy you and do the same sort of thing.
Now let's take a look at today's language in focus. So here in this article, we're using this kind of grammar pattern, it, and then a be verb, and then that, and then the rest of the sentence. This grammar pattern is used to emphasize a particular element of that sentence, to give more importance to it in the sentence so it gets the reader's attention. We might focus on the time, the person, or the location. So in that previous sentence, we could have said, more coffee houses started showing up soon after this. There's no problem with this sentence, it's absolutely fine. But if we want to draw more attention to the time, the fact that it was soon after the first one opened, we can change the sentence and say, it wasn't long after this more coffee houses appeared. Now in this sentence, we're using the dummy pronoun it. It doesn't refer to anything. It's not it means the coffee house, it means the person, it means the city. We use it to make the sentence complete. The be verb is emphasizing the part of the sentence we want to draw attention to. It was soon after, it was in this place, it was this person who did it. The rest of the information follows with a that clause. For example, it was Paul who told me about the party. It was in this park that I first met my wife. It was on Thursday that I broke my leg. We could rewrite all of those sentences in different ways, but we use this it, be verb one to emphasize person, location, time, and so on. So more coffee houses open, coffee gets very popular, and like you said, it becomes a big part of even family culture in Turkey.
That's right. It wasn't just important for businessmen to gather while drinking coffee. If you plan to get married, coffee might be a big part of that process. It says, people even use Turkish coffee when proposing marriage. As we know, every culture has different traditions and rituals you do when you get married, right? You might give special gifts. Here in Taiwan, you give gifts to the parents of the bride.
Yeah, the rings.
Special clothes, rings, you say special words. And when you propose is basically when you ask someone to marry you. To propose is really just to put forward an idea. Hey, I have an idea. What do you guys think? But when you propose to someone, and you don't say I'm proposing a plan or I'm proposing a project or something. No, I'm just proposing to you. That means I'm putting forward an idea. How about getting married? Would you like to marry me? I'm proposing to my boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever. So in a proposal, which would be the noun form, it's kind of what we see in the movie. The man might get down on a knee. He'll have the diamond ring, you know, that whole process. And in Turkey, you might need the ring, but you might also need some coffee. We're going to find out about that. But let's look at this word to propose. As I mentioned, it's to put forward an idea or to ask someone to marry marry you. And that's what we're talking about in our example sentence that reads, Elmer proposed to his girlfriend in their favorite restaurant.
Oh, that's very
romantic.
nice. Hope she said yes.
Me too, and I hope he had coffee ready.
Okay, so what is this tradition all about? How does coffee fit into a marriage proposal?
You can't put coffee on someone's finger.
Do you put the ring in the coffee?
You pour the coffee on their hand?
Oh, well, we'll see.
Messy.
The article says, in one common version of the tradition, the man brings his parents to the woman's home and asks her to marry him.
Okay.
All right.
That's not too strange in many cultures.
Yeah, family. It's a family thing. It's not, you know, it's not just a private thing. It's a family thing. Yep. But this is just one version of the tradition. A version is a particular form of something. It's maybe lots of versions and they're all a little bit different. They all have the same general idea. There's different ways that the coffee might be used. The location might be different. Sometimes the family isn't present. But they're all versions. They're all different types of the same overall tradition. Think of a story. You might have the book version of the story, the movie version of the story, the TV version of the story,
video game version,
the comic book version. It's all the same story, but it's told in different ways depending on whether it's a long TV show with 10 episodes, a movie that's 2 hours, a book with 500 pages, or whatever. So this version, the family comes over with the hopeful husband, not husband yet, and they're going to ask the woman to marry him. What happens next?
Well, then things get interesting. We read the potential bride serves Turkish coffee to everyone, but puts salt in the man's coffee. In
salt?
Her boyfriend's coffee, as it were.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, this isn't like a salty caramel latte.
No. It's a good pinch of salt that you wouldn't normally want in your coffee. I mean, some people do, but maybe you put sugar in your coffee, but salt is definitely more unusual. So we can imagine this bride, this is the girl, you know, who's in this relationship, who's not yet married, but might hope to. Her husband or her boyfriend and his parents come over. She's being a very good hostess, a very good daughter. She's serving coffee to her parents and his parents, and also to him, to her boyfriend, but she puts some salt in the man's coffee. We're talking about the man here as being, the woman here as being a potential bride. We could say her boyfriend is a potential husband too, because something that is potential something, it means it's a possible something. It might be in the future, but it's not quite right now. So you might be a potential employee if you go into a job for a job interview. You're going to meet the boss, they're going to talk to you, learn about you. They could hire you, maybe even after the interview, maybe even in a few minutes, but not yet. But the possibility is there. If you think of a seed is a potential flower or a potential plant. It's not yet, but if everything goes well, it could expect to be, and it probably will be in the future. So this girl is hoping to be a bride, but she's not a bride quite yet.
But what does the word bride mean? Let's find out. The word bride is used to describe a woman who is about to be married or has just been married. We tend to only use it on the wedding day, although it could be used in the lead up to the wedding day. She is going to be a bride next week, that kind of thing. She's a bride right now during the marriage ceremony, and maybe she might be used for the few days after. Yep, I'm still the bride. They might say, let's toast the bride and groom. Everybody lift up your glasses. Groom, G-R-O-O-M, is the man who's getting married or about to be married. The bride is the woman. Here's an example sentence. The groom looked handsome in a tuxedo while the bride wore a beautiful white gown. But why put sugar in his coffee?
Yeah, why would this potential bride want to serve her potential husband bad-tasting coffee? Well, it's kind of a test. It is a test. It says this is to test his patience. If the man continues to be happy while he drinks it, the couple can have a long and happy marriage. Okay, I guess he's sort of saying, all right, my wife can't make a cup of coffee, but I still love her. I guess this is kind of nice if the man spits it out and throws the cup. What have you served me, you crazy lady? Well, yeah, maybe you don't want to marry that man because clearly he doesn't have a lot of patience. Patience is sort of the ability to stay calm in a stressful situation. Something might be happening around you. You could get upset. You could get mad. You could lose your temper and start ranting and raving and screaming. But you're not. You're like, okay, it's no big deal. We'll just keep waiting. We'll just sort of stay here in this kind of unpleasant place, but we're not going to get upset. We're not going to leave. We're going to be very patient. That would be the adjective, and patience would be the noun form. So if you don't mind waiting, if you don't mind people maybe kind of wasting your time a little bit, but you stay calm, you stay under control, well, good for you, you have lots of patience. For example, I don't think I have the patience to watch any more of this silly movie. I haven't enjoyed the last 30 minutes. I don't think it's getting better. Let's turn it off or I'm gonna get really angry.
Exactly. You might need a lot of patience waiting in the bank or something like that. Or if you work with somebody and they're maybe not quite as quick as you, you have to be patient with them. Okay. With kids, you have to be patient as they learn new things and try and figure stuff out.
We need patience in all sorts of ways.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, we're going to learn more about Turkish coffee, about how it's made and some of the things that you might have at the same time tomorrow. But right now, we're going to go to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
Our question is simply, have you tried Turkish coffee or would you like to? Especially now you've just heard about it in our article. Talk about it. Yeah, I certainly have.
Have you? Yeah? Did you like it? Would you enjoy it every day or was it something you only like to have, once in a while? I
think it's more of a once in a while drink. Okay. Probably for the same reason I don't get a shot of espresso every single day.
Okay.
It does seem to go well after meals.
Yeah.
It is a small drink. It's
very small.
Yeah, it's not a big thing with lots of water, so it does seem to follow a meal in a very kind of nice way. So I've had it in Turkish restaurants.
Okay, yeah.
But you might also find it in, say, a Greek restaurant because Greece and Turkey are very close. They have historical links. They might serve it in that kind of place. But yeah, it's definitely good, but it's not really an everyday drink. How about you?
Absolutely. You're right. It goes well after a meal, after you have something sweet like a dessert. The coffee can be quite bitter. It's also good because you don't have to spend a lot of time drinking it. It comes to your table. You can really just have it in one drink or maybe two. But you're right, it is very, very thick. You might actually think someone made the coffee wrong the first time you have it. Is it supposed to be this thick and this strong? Well, it is. But yeah, I think like you, I don't know if I would have it every day, but I also don't drink espresso every day. If I have coffee, I like something a little bit lighter, but it is very enjoyable in the right time. All right, guys, have a chat about that, and we'll see you back here tomorrow with more great stuff about Turkish coffee. So until then,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Vocabulary Review.
Explore. Let's explore other possibilities for our vacation this year because we always go to the same places. Restrict. At our school, class sizes are restricted to 20 students or fewer. Acceptable. Wendy must learn to talk to people in a more acceptable way if she wants them to listen to her. Propose. Daniel presented a diamond ring to Anna and proposed marriage to her. Bride. The bride wore a beautiful white dress on her wedding day. Patience. The mayor left quickly because he didn't have the patience to answer so many questions from reporters.
智慧小补帖
Beverage. Version. Potential.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000。 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net